Alright guys, so sorry for not being that enthusiastic in this video because I'm recording this while doing college and doing freaking homework because my freaking professor decided to post homework. So we're gonna get this done, and yeah. Today we are going to be asking the most lingering question throughout the Fallout series, mainly on what was Bud Askin's Phase 1, 2, and 3, or what is Stephany Harper's background and her plans for Vault 32. Well, we'll all get into that, my dear friend, but first we must begin at the beginning. Because I know you've seen the show, but I haven't. So yeah, we're gonna begin. Our story begins with a man named Bud Askins who devised his own idea of reshaping the world and used his own trifecta of faults to do it, known as Fault 31, 32, and 33, as Bud's plan was to have Fault 31 cryogenically freeze people in stasis pods as he would have Bud's managers. As Bud's plan was to have Vault 31 cryogenically freeze people in stasis pods, as Vault 32 and 33 would be housing breeding grounds for future civilization in which they would have Bud's managers. In order to sustainably manage and oversee the folds, Bud Askins put his brain inside a robot capsule so he would not need to eat and would only need electrical circuitry. How the heck could this happen? I have no idea. Now there's a day that every vault dweller dreams of in their sleep. Reclamation Day. A day where the Vault dwellers could go outside and continue their civilization outside the Vault-Tec facility. Though this is all a hoax, as to make sure that people stay inside the vaults and not going outside. As Bud Askins started a test phase for Vault 32, in which it was to see how people would react if they were in an experiment and knew of it. And well, that ended up having Ian Jackson giving his Vault a thumbs up, even on death. Try as they might, none of them could breach what was on the other side of Vault 31. And then there's Vault 33, and we know of so far that the overseer for it is Hank McLean, in which he married his wife, Rose McLean, and he has a daughter as well as a son. But Henry's wife grew curious of the vaults, the outside, and of Reclamation Day. So she then goes outside to find a small village called Shady Sands. She meets a longtime friend called Moldava, however you want to say it, and she wanted to show her children to her. That's how much she liked her. But Hank, wondering where his kids are, finds them out on the surface with his mom. He takes the kids and asks his wife to come home, but she doesn't. So he decides to do the most logical thing a husband had to do. Blow up the entire city, of course. That's right, Shady Sands was blown up. Look, I know every husband would love to blow up their own wives and the whole town. Every night, a father puts their kid to sleep. Definitely. Now, where was I? Oh yeah. He raised his kids and lied about their mother's death. Yeah, definitely deserves Dad of the Year award. And his kids are Norm McLean and Lucy McLean. Now, these children are very similar to SpongeBob and Squidward, as Lucy is very ignorant, naive, and optimistic, while Norm is methodical, reason-based, and a bit of a rebel. Though our story begins with Vault Triennial Trade ceremony in which Lucy is going to get married. And who would be the bridesmaid? Well, someone from Vault 32. As the quote-unquote overseer is Moldaver, and Vault 33 offers seeds and machinery, while Moldaver offers a beater for Lucy to marry. Monty. At least, that's what he tells Lucy. They kiss and eventually have some fun in the bedroom until that fun became a slaughter as Lucy discovers her boyfriend as a raider and has to fight for her damn life. As she gets stabbed by Monty and thinking she is about to die, she momentarily gets saved by an alarm system in which she uses that time to grab a pint and kill Monty. She heads to the medic supplies to relieve her wound, but she finds out that she may be the only healthy one in the entire vault, as she just sees a massacre of people flying out and about killing each other. Everything looks unorthodox until Stephany Harper sees her dead husband on the floor. More on that later. As she charges to the killer, she gets stabbed in the eye, but I think this was all part of her plan. More on that in a minute. As she starts shooting up the entire place, Chet even gets traumatized by sheer luck. And where's Norm in all of this? Why, hiding under the table just like his cowardly father. Hey, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. As Lucy places him in a safe area, she's suddenly attacked by her dear beloved. But Daddy made sure to leave room for Jesus and takes him out. But they soon get a code about some hangar being breached. Hank heads first, but is soon ambushed by the one and only bombs. Lucy gets there to see her father and Moldaver catching up as Moldaver makes Hank choose his daughter or 5 of his acquaintances. Hank decides his own option, which is to put his daughter in the timeout corner and allow it to be taken. But the people are not safe as Moldaver starts the bombs countdown and lets the vault dwellers run for their life. Everyone seems to make it out safe, but Hank, where is he? Lucy wonders. Is he even still alive? Or better yet, dead? All these thoughts race into the back of Lucy's mind.
Okie dokie. I don't protect the world.
But she's got a wound to fix now and a father to save, so she asks her people to go to the outside. But wussy Woody Thomas shuts her down immediately, and instead Betty Pearson demands that no vault door be opened for the sake of the vault's security. But the real reason is that they wouldn't have the opportunity to be the next future overseer. Yet, have no fear, my fellow patriots, as Jet helps Lucy escape to the upside down. Also, there's Norm, if I forgot to mention that. Yeah, I did forget to mention that. Oh well. Jet makes another sweet talk to Lucy. Also, I did mention that Jet is in love with Lucy. Okay, I guess I forgot to mention that also. Okay, well, alright. Well, that sucks. As even Jet gets the nice guy treatment and is put down like how my dog was put down. Yeah, great times. And Lucy lectures her brother to stay in the vault like the good boy he is, which Norm admits he's too much of a wimp anyway. Saying their goodbyes and makes a vow that she would bring her father home. But some vault's imbeciles try to lecture a young lady to come back into the vault, but Lucy doesn't listen, like how every woman never listens to their fathers because they were off to go get milk or something. I don't know what. Now, what happens when she gets outside? Well, you're gonna have to stay tuned for next week. But hey, I can help you with your obsession of the dangerous duo of the Ghoul and Lucy. Because I know you ship Goosey. I mean, I do. Yeah, that's what she said. Subscribe and turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video every Wednesday. Hey, You can even check out the one clue that solves sister location, because it's a doozy. Now, back to the vaults. As the council reassigns Jet to not being gatekeeper and questions his existence, because he can't even have Lucy, what can he do as a man, you know? What can a man do without a woman, you know? Sorry, but she's only for the dangerous and gnarly men, unlike you. And then Norm gets reassigned, which is kind of difficult for the overseers to put him in a certain type of job, because he's literally just Brie Larson, and that he working in every job. But is assigned to being a food caterer duty to the prisoners, because he wants them burned to death. I mean, he says that to the overseers, but they're like, oh, okay, we found a job that will make you really annoyed, you know. And Betty takes note of that as the incarcerated people toy with Norm and killing him. Soon, there's a meeting where the three managers discuss what to do with the incarcerated, as Stephany Harper made some interesting movements while Norm talked about killing the raiders. Then some co-workers tell the people that the water chip has been destroyed mysteriously by someone, as Stephany goes to help support Norm on his idea for some reason. I mean, I doubt we'll come back to this in the future. So anyway, Norm gets a pep talk with Betty about what he said at the assembly, and he's more pissed about being a coward and not helping out his family, while Betty warns him to not be a problem for her. We then have Chet just sulking until we meet Stephany, where they seem to have some type of familiar relationship for some reason, but I'm sure that means nothing. And Norm is doing his job and handing out the cake to his guests. He starts to investigate further, what is happening in Vault 32. After some investigation in the vault, Jet and Norm discover that the vault was open from the outside using Norm's mom's pup boy. But their most predicament discovery was that Vault 32 was trying to access Vault 31, but somehow they died under random circumstances for some unexplained reason. After Jet and Norm's so-called potato plantation, the vaults have a vote for the new overseer. Either Reg, Woody, or Betty, as she's been overseer once before, so why not again? I mean, you know what they say, when things look glum, vote someone from Vault 31. As Norm and Jet have a talk where Stephany is singing some melody in the shower, and then the weirdest part is when Norm talks about how Vault 31 is different from the rest of the vaults, Stephany simply states that maybe it was the mashed potatoes were better? Well, I'll tell you that in a minute, but first, Betty has to proclaim that some people will be moving to Vault 32 for the community breeding and whatnot. And we see Stephany in a wheelchair. I mean, I know giving birth is rough, but I didn't know you would be hospitalized. As if someone was trying to get rid of the evidence for some reason. And then Betty goes to assure Norm that she is the one in charge and trying to keep the power struggle in check. But then we cut to Norm delivering food to the raiders, and after a while they mysteriously died to rat poisoning. And after everyone gets assigned to their move-in day, Norm opens the door, and what did she say? Oh, it's just a terrible thing about the raiders, isn't it? Wait a minute. What? How does she know? How does she know that they died when Betty hasn't made any announcements and she has been in that room for hours upon hours? So how could she have known? It's very interesting. And then Woody has like a freaking freak out whenever they're getting transferred to Vault 32. Why on earth is he afraid of this? Does he know what is happening? And then right after this, Stephany is appointed as the overseer. But after the door closes, what do we get? Why, Norman walking off to go and discover what's happening in Vault 31. And he enters the overseer's office. I mean, where the heck is Betty? After all, for being the all-powerful and mighty, we, for some reason, have no idea where she is. Like, did she plan for this? Weird. And then we have Norm enter Vault 31, where he finds the experiment, and that Vault 31 is a sham for buds, and that Vault 32 and 33 are just breeding grounds. After Norm digests everything, he decides to head out, but Bud traps him in here as a hostage, as they would all be out after Reclamation Day. And so he has two options: get into the pods or starve to death. But Norm has other plans. Instead, he decides to produce chaos, as Buds is dead, and Norm decides to have all the pods open, where at first he loses himself in the chaos. But after screaming like a toddler, he strategizes a way on getting out. And they find a way. An exit up in the ceiling where they use themselves to escape Vault 31. But back in Vault 32, Jet has an argument with Stephany about the name of their baby, as the neighbors have been calling the baby Jet Jr. But what neighbor could have told them that? Who knows? As Stephany seems to be having trouble with the terminal and asks Jet if he's good with computers. Wait. So the girl who knows people's jobs and whatnot asks the guy who barely knows how computers work. Like, why, Steph? What plans are you concocting, Steph? But, you know what? Maybe these are all just coincidences, you know? Just happenstance, nothing more. So, let's see what happens in Vault 33. Oh, it's incest. Great. Just great. And what's worse is that they're taking all the water from the rest of the people in Vault 33. Desperate to preserve her vault, Betty reaches out to her partner for refreshments and goes to tell Stephany the news, and what does she respond with? You'd think it would be shocking, maybe terrified, but no. She remains calm, as if she knew this would happen. But how? And then she decides to do a trade where she would give Betty water access to her vault, and in return, she would get a box from Hank that was before the war. Something personal, she says, but Woody overhears this and reports it to Overseer Steph, as she emphasizes Woody to call her Overseer Harper, and then check to discover something under the cupboards, which is her ID card. Why is this here? Why would you put confidential information in a place where someone can find it? Why? Well, I don't know. Why? Well, it's simple. Have you guys heard of the Stephany conspiracy? As I think the real father to Stephany is Hank. As how could she know about Hank's box? I mean, that's some information that only you would give to someone. Top secret, FBI's most wanted list, secreter than the Epstein files. So I think this was all to protect her baby. I think she planned for the raiders to come and kill people. And she, for some reason, is the only one that gets injured for no apparent reason. Well, I think she planned this out from the start. I think she wanted to get hurt so that she could get empathy points, and I think she wanted her husband to die. But I don't think it was the raiders, no. I think she did it herself. And she felt guilty, so she decided to hurt herself to make herself seem like it was natural or not, just a bit. As I think she wanted Jet to be her babysitter, because I think she was just jealous that Jet is in love with Lucy, and it was competition. It's like, oh, now I got it because Lucy wanted it, now I have it. I don't know, possibilities. As she's the only one that manipulated Norm in killing the inmates, as she's the one that gave Norm the potatoes, and mentions help from Jet because she knows that Norm is in Vault 31 and is trapped there. And she knows that Vault 33 has water malfunctions because she was the one that broke the chip. All for her to get the power to her be in control. Because I think she knew that Norm would kill the people in Vault 31. I mean, he did it with the inmates. What would stop him? And Betty, wanting to preserve her vault, goes to Stephany to get some water from her. And I think she knew that her entire plan centered around that box. And who do you think told Stephany that? Why, Hank McClane. But you know what is more surprising than this conspiracy? This Stephany conspiracy? Why, it's me solving FNAF using only the first 4 games. Also, don't forget to subscribe and like, because I'll be solving the entire lore of the ghoul next week. So stay tuned for the horrors that await.